class, this week we're going to talk about genre and theme. First, let's start off by reading a story called The Lion and the Mouse by Aesop. Once, when a lion was asleep, a little mouse began running up and down upon him. This soon awakened the lion, who placed his huge paw upon him and opened his big jaws to swallow him. "Pardon, O king," cried the little mouse. "Forgive me this time. I shall never forget it. I may be able to return the favor one of these days." The lion was so tickled at the idea of the mouse being able to help him that he lifted up his paw and let him go. Sometime after, the lion was caught in a trap, and the hunters who decided to carry him alive to the king tied him to a tree while they went in search of a wagon to carry him on. Just then, the little mouse happened to pass by, and seeing the sad plight of the lion, went up to him and soon gnawed away the ropes that bound the king of the beasts. "Was I not right?" said the little mouse. Now that we've read the story, we're going to be talking about genre. Does anybody know what a genre is? No? Okay, class. Well, a genre is a specific type of book. Under genre, there are two categories called fiction and nonfiction. Fiction are works that deal with imagined subjects. Under fiction, there is a traditional literature, which are stories that are passed down by different groups from different cultures. Folktales, which are stories that are created by different cultures passed on by word of mouth. Fables, which are short stories with animals as characters that teach moral stories. Fantasy, which is a story with make-believe characters and elements like magic. Tall tales, which are stories that are exaggerated with unique characters. Myths, which are traditional stories that explain something about the world. Mystery, which are stories with problems that don't get solved until the end. And science fiction, which are a story about science, technology, and the future. Historical fiction, which are stories with real settings but with made-up characters. Realistic fiction, which are a story with made-up characters that can happen in real life. And then there's also nonfiction, which are works that deal with real-life subjects. Under nonfiction, there is a biography, which is the story of a real person written by another person. And then an autobiography, which is the story of a real person written by that same person. And an informative, which is a piece of work that provides facts about different topics. Okay, class, now that we know what a genre is, what was the genre of The Lion and the Mouse by Aesop?
It's a fable.
Good job. Now we're going to move on and talk about theme. So what is a theme? Does anybody know? Okay, well, I'll tell you. A theme is the life lesson that the author wants you, the reader, to take away from the book. When looking for theme, you should always ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. Who are the characters in the story? 2. Where does the story take place? 3. What is the problem in the story? And 4. What lessons did the characters learn from the story? If you ask yourself these 4 questions, you'll find the theme right away. Always remember that the theme is also the message of the story. Okay, class, now I'm going to be asking y'all, what is the theme of The Lion and the Mouse by Aesop?
The small are helpful.
Great. Now we're going to try to find the theme of this new book, Miss Nelson is Missing. Okay, class, let's start. Miss Nelson is Missing by Henry Aller. The kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. Spitballs stuck to the ceiling, paper planes whisked through the air. They were the worst behaved class in the whole school. "Now settle down," said Miss Nelson in a sweet voice. But the class would not settle down. They whispered and giggled. They squirmed and made faces. They were even rude during story hour. And they always refused to do their lessons. "Something will have to be done," said Miss Nelson. The next morning, Miss Nelson did not come to school. "Wow," yelled the kids. "Now we can really act up." They began to make more spitballs and paper planes. "Today, let's just be terrible," they said. "Not so fast," hissed an unpleasant voice. A woman in an ugly black dress stood before them. "I am your new teacher, Miss Viola Swamp," and she rapped the desk with her ruler. "Where is Miss Nelson?" asked the kids. "Never mind that," snapped Miss Swamp. "Open those arithmetic books." Miss Nelson's kids did as they were told. They could see that Miss Swamp was a real witch, but she meant business. Right away, she put them to work, and she loaded them down with the homework. "We'll have no story hour today," said Miss Swamp. Keep your mouth shut, said Miss Swamp. Sit perfectly still, said Miss Swamp. And if you misbehave, you'll be sorry, said Miss Swamp. The kids in room 207 had never worked so hard. Days went by and there were no signs of Miss Nelson. The kids missed Miss Nelson. Maybe we should try to find her, they said. Some of them went to the police. Detective McSmog was assigned to the case. He listened to their story. He scratched his chin. He said. I think Miss Nelson is missing. Detective McSwamp would not be much help. Other kids went to Miss Nelson's house. The shades were tightly drawn, and no one answered the door. In fact, the only person they did see was the wicked Miss Viola Swamp coming up the street. If she sees us, she'll give us more homework. They got away just in time. Maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson. Maybe she was gobbled up by sharks, said one of the kids, but that didn't seem likely. Maybe Miss Nelson went to Mars, said another kid, but that didn't seem likely either. I know, exclaimed one know-it-all. Maybe Miss Nelson's car was carried out by a storm of angry butterflies, but that was the least likely of all. The kids in room 207 became discouraged. It seemed that Miss Nelson was never coming back, and they would be stuck with Miss Viola Swamp forever. They heard footsteps in the hall. Here comes the witch, they whispered. Hello, children, someone said in a sweet voice. It was Miss Nelson. Did you miss me, she asked. We certainly did, cried all the kids. Where were you? That's my little secret, said Miss Nelson. How about a story hour? Oh, yes, cried the kids. Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour, no one was rude or silly. What brought about this lovely change? She asked. That's our little secret, said the kids. Back home, Miss Nelson took off her coat and hung it in the closet, right next to an ugly black dress. When it was time for bed, she sang a little song. I'll never tell, she said to herself with a smile. P.S. Detective McSmoggs is working on a new case. He is now looking for Miss Viola Swamp. Okay, guys, now that we finished reading the story, we're going to be using this tool I created. I'm helping you find the theme. First, we're going to start off. Talk with your partners and ask yourself, who are the characters in the story? Remember that the characters are people, animals, or creatures in the story. So, class, what are the characters in Miss Nelson is missing?
Miss Swamp, Miss Nelson, her students, and the detective.
Great answer. Now we're going to move on to the second question. What is the setting? Remember that the setting is where the story takes place. So what is the setting?
The classroom.
Great answer. What is the problem? The problem is something that touches the story. What is the problem in Miss Nelson is missing?
Miss Nelson is missing.
Great answer. Okay, so last question. What lesson was learned? Remember that this means that what was the lesson that the characters learned in the story?
To be nice to Miss Nelson.
Okay, now that you've answered all those questions, you need to ask yourself, what is the message you can take from the story?
To behave for your teachers.
Okay, class, y'all now know how to find the theme. Now that y'all know what the theme is, do y'all know what the genre is?
Mystery.
Great answer. Okay, class, now that we're done with that, we're going to move on, and I'm going to give you these 4 short stories, and I want you guys to use the theme flip books and write down your themes on the other circle. After you are done, trade off with your partners and switch stories, and find the theme for that too.